I've been noticing trends, and the trends are scary because this is the reality. Magic the Gathering cards are not being printed as quickly as they're being opened, and prices are going up. People are noticing. And I want to break it down. I want to break down what I think is going on. I want to break down some of the history that's led up to now, and then break down the evidence I have for this thesis I have, which is why Magic prices will not be going down anytime soon, which is interesting because the prices have just gone up, up, up. I mean, if you recall, or maybe you don't recall, 10 years ago, it was like $4 for a booster pack. Now the minimum price is like $5, $6, $7. And prices for these sets continue to rise. There's like MSRP, and that's a thing. It's like $160 for a play box. But so many of these play boxes are breaking those numbers, going up to $180, $200, $200 plus, all while they're still supposed to be printed. And so we're going to break it down. We're going to talk about it all. Hi, my name's Nick, run Capital Catalyst. Thanks for being here. All right, to the video. So in 2012, Wizards made the decision to print to demand. Before this, Wizards had set print runs. And I mean, I don't know all the history between 1993 and 2012. But before 2012, with sets like Mirrored and Besieged and New Phyrexia, Wizards printed, and maybe they would do a second wave or something like that, but they just had like a set quantity that existed, and they were done. And this became a problem for the time of New Phyrexia because people opened that set. And basically they ran out of boxes. They weren't able to resupply stores. People weren't able to get the cards they needed for standard in as convenient of a fashion because they had sold out. And so around this time is when Wizards realized, okay, we need to print more. There's demand for this stuff. There's demand for our cards, and we need to print more. So here comes the Return to Ravnica. No, not the Ravnica Allegiance and Guilds of Ravnica that we had back in like 2020 or 2019. This is Return to Ravnica that came out in 2012 and was the first set that had a what was called like a unlimited print run or limitless print run. People were freaking out at the time because like, what does this mean for the collectability, the investability? What does it mean for card prices? And what's interesting is that what it meant for card prices is that card prices went down. I mean, and the packs from the time were not expensive because they did overprint. And what's funny is we'll see this. Sometimes foreshadowing is subtle, and sometimes it's like this, where this is going to keep happening, where Wizards gets a ton of demand. They realize like, oh, we need to print more, and then they print too much. And that's what was happening with Return to Ravnica. Today, to this day, you can buy Return to Ravnica Gate Crash, not Gatewatch. Geez, that wasn't until 2017. Getting ahead of myself. Gate Crash and Maze's End. To this day, you can buy those packs quite cheap. So really interesting that they just printed a ton. But that was the beginning of this modern era. I think the beginning of what Rudy calls like the Bronze Age or whatever, of there's unlimited reprints as long as there's demand, of course, for the product. Because there would be some sets that would come out that wouldn't have demand. Sets like Amonkhet or Hour of Devastation, where the demand was so low and the cards were not in demand. So they ended the print runs early because there's just no need to keep reprinting those sets. But at least they had set this precedent, which was we will print as much as we want to, which was fine. It led to some sets being very printed. I mean, when Battle for Zendikar came out and it had the lottery cards inside of it, you could open up Zendikar Expeditions, which are beautiful, by the way. In fact, let me pull up some because these are beautiful cards. Zendikar Expeditions lands. I mean, check these things out. To this day, these are some of my favorite cards, favorite art, favorite treatment. I own this Godless Shrine. I bought it for $120. I think today you can buy it for $80. Pretty cool. But lots of cool cards. Anyways, you had a chance of opening these in regular booster packs. They were called draft boosters back then, not play boosters. And you had a chance of opening one of these, a Breeding Pool or a Verdant Catacombs or a Misty Rainforest. Oh, interesting. And then Oath of the Gatewatch had other expeditions. I didn't realize they were broken out. But Battle for Zendikar had these expeditions, and these were called lottery cards, right? And it was very exciting. I mean, some of them were less exciting, like a Prairie Stream. You didn't want to open that. But, if you opened up Steam vents, or like my brother, I bought it from my brother, the Godless Shrine. Like, man, you're doing good. You're eating good. So, lottery cards, what happened? People wanted to open up tons of product. So Zendikar Rising, or that's what's called, right? Battle for Zendikar. Sorry, not Zendikar Rising. All these Return to Rising, whatever sequel sets, it gets confusing. So, right. People opened up Battle for Zendikar. They opened up a ton of Battle for Zendikar. To this day, the singles from that set are cheap. And they reprinted it because people kept opening it, and they wanted these lottery cards, right? And so that was kind of early in the days of Wizards experimenting with collectability and what they could get away with. Then fast forward to today, but not quite yet. Not quite yet. Let me check my notes, make sure that we're going through the history at a good pace. So yeah, since then, product has been relatively and constantly available, right? It's been very rare that sets have sold out and not been reprinted and not available at distribution. That has been a rare thing. Now, and let me back up a second. This is my understanding of the history. If you disagree or you have a perspective that's different, like you own a game store or something like that, comment below, let me know. But this is what I've experienced. Right. So back to it. This was, there were some items that came out that were artificially scarce. Things that, like my favorite, the Mythic Edition bundles that came out with War of the Spark and Ravnica Allegiance and things like that. Those Mythic Editions were, only 12,000 exist, and you need to buy it off of eBay for $250, and then people instantly flip them for $800 or whatever. Just interesting, right? By the way, those same things that people were flipping on eBay for $800 back in 2019, you can now buy them on TCG Player for $300. Really interesting. But so there were some artificially scarce things. And then, of course, we get to Project Collector Booster Fun, which was the initiative to start making not just draft booster boxes, but set booster boxes and the collector booster boxes. And that was the introduction of collectability, well, at least the collector booster box, into the Magic ecosystem. And that was an interesting play, and everything was fine. Everything was fine, in my opinion, until Magic 30th came out. And there's some bad things before that too, or around that time too. The kind of Amazon dumps where Wizards would print a ton, and then if distribution didn't want it, and if game stores didn't want it, they could sell on Amazon and undercut the game stores, undercut distribution by selling directly onto Amazon. That was going on too, which was not ideal. It was hurting their strategic partners while trying to move this product at extremely cheap prices. So we're talking, just to make this very clear, right? I mean, you could imagine, like, if I make bananas, if I produce bananas, I got my banana farm and I sell to Walmart so that Walmart can sell to people. If I just make a website and say, like, hey, buy bananas straight from me for cheaper than you can buy them at Walmart, that would be a confusing thing to do, right? Because like, I sell to Walmart and Walmart sells them. How could I possibly get away with selling them directly to the public for cheaper than I sell them to Walmart for? Because that's the key detail too. It wasn't just cheaper than you could get them at Walmart. It's cheaper than Walmart could get them from you. So that's what Magic did. Magic was selling products, and sometimes they still do, but much, much less so. They were selling products for cheaper than you could buy them from distribution, or in potentially cheaper than distribution could buy them from Wizards. It's just crazy system. But that's what was going on, selling on Amazon. But all that was around the time of Magic 30th edition, which Magic 30th edition was the greatest self-own in Magic history, in my opinion. Successfully, Wizards designed a product that was so terrible that collectors, investors, evil scalpers, and of course players all rejected it. We're all like, this is a terrible terrible product. Magic 30th edition. Let me pull this up. I mean, to this day, you can buy it for, $15, $14, $50, which is so if you bought it back in, 2022, you could make a tiny bit of money now, but for the longest time, these were only selling for Oh, wow. Yeah, like this. You can see on this chart where people are selling these for like $1,000. If you bought this from Wizards for $1,000, because that was the price, by the way, this thing has 4 packs in it, 4 booster packs of proxy cards for $1,000. They're selling $250 for a pack of proxy cards. This was such a disastrous product that this was a rise in proxying and a down for all real Magic. Crazy, absolutely crazy. And like I said, people rejected this product. Even if you scalped it, you were not making money. You were breaking even or losing money, as you see here. Just recently, I guess, one sold for no, these are all listed for $1,400, but they haven't sold for that much. The only sales have been for like $1,200, which after, well, TCG Player does cap their fees, so perhaps they would net a tiny bit of money, but after waiting 3 years, 4 years, that's not exactly a big win for the scalpers or whatever. So absolutely disastrous product. Who knew that selling 4 booster packs of proxy cards, not even legal Magic cards, for $250 a pack would be so painful to the community that it would hurt Magic stores and prices and everything. And so at this point, Magic products were extremely available. There are products from this time that are still available to this day. Shout out New Capenna, because people were such a anti-fan. What's the word? People had so much disdain for the products around this time that they would not buy them. Not buy them for distribution costs, not buy them for below distribution costs. People were not having it. But things did eventually turn around, because today things are very different. So what happened? Well, let's fast forward a little bit to the beginning of 2024, when Ravnica Remastered came out. Kind of funny that all this stuff happens around Ravnicas, Anyways, Ravnica Remastered comes out. Ravnica Remastered, according to Rudy, was one of the least pre-ordered sets ever, and it really shook Wizards up, and they were like, okay, we got to put an end to this. We cannot keep overprinting, and we cannot have an economy with these collector booster boxes that are just available at distribution constantly. So they're not actually that collectible. They're actually quite common. And then, of course, play and draft booster boxes that are also just ubiquitous, just everywhere, completely available. The game was not collectible. The game was not desirable. And yes, people were playing the game and having fun, but Wizards was not accomplishing what they wanted to accomplish. So what happened? They reined in print runs, and we saw some incredible kind of turnaround in supply of Magic products around this time. We saw things like the Fallout collector booster box come out, which was dismal in the print run. There's other products that came out that were less dismal, but it was around, this was kind of when things turned around, because yes, Murders of Karlov Manor did not perform well, and even Outlaws of Thunder Junction didn't perform super well. And these products and even the collector booster boxes were available. But things started to turn around in 2024. And then things really turned around in 2025. 2024 with like Modern Horizons 3 and those collector boosters. I mean, this was around the time the collector boosters were just pumping and just seemed like obvious bets. It wasn't about like, oh, is this set going to go up and down? It started to become, oh, every collector booster box is doing well. This is something that everybody should be a part of. So at some point in 2025, collector booster boxes just began to disappear. So there used to be a world where at distribution or from game stores or whatever, you could get collector booster boxes for really cheap, for $220 or whatever. And those have evaporated leading into today. And so, but it wasn't just the collector's product, because that's the thing. If it was just that, there's these collector's products that are collectible and they're limited print run, and so, it just makes sense. Yeah, those things should sell out. They're collectible or whatever, and it's not preventing anyone from playing the game. But here's where the glitch comes in, or the situation that we're in, the sitch. It's play boxes aren't available. If we pull up the list of all of the current standard sets, let me run through them and we can play a game. If you're savvy with Magic, you can think to yourself, how many of these are available from distribution to my local game store right now? Because this is the situation, that this is the reality. Any of these products, any of these standard legal draft, play, booster box, set boxes, whatever, that aren't available at distribution, that means if your local game store wants to sell them, which they do, they have to buy them from another source, which means eBay, which means TCG Player, which is wild, right? It's really, this might be frame breaking for some people, new to the game listening in, but a lot of your local game stores buy products from TCG Player because they don't exist anywhere else. And what does that do? Well, it means that there's money to be made selling stuff on TCG Player, right? There's just higher demand, more sell through. And that's what opens the way for dirty basement sellers like myself to be successful, right? If game stores have to go to me to buy stuff to put on their shelves, then I've got some good customers. So let's play the game. I'm gonna read out each set that's currently standard legal and think to yourself, how many of these, there's 16 in total, how many of these have play boxes or draft boxes or whatever available at distribution? Wilds of Eldraine, Lost Caverns of Ixalan, Murders at Karlov Manor, Outlaws at Thunder Junction, Bloomborough, Duskmourn House of Horror, Foundations, Aether Drift, Dragonstorm, Final Fantasy, Edge of Eternities, Spider-Man, Avatar The Last Airbender, Lorwyn Eclipsed, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Secrets of Strixhaven. All right, did you get them? So Murders at Karlov Manor, there is limited, it's like being allocated, but it is available from certain distributors. Aether Drift is available. Good old Aether Drift. Spider-Man's available. Good old Spider-Man. People say, I say people say, I'm thinking of like Rudy and Anon and Final Trade and others say that Marvel Spider-Man was just printed to oblivion and the demand hasn't been that high. And guess what? It's still available at distribution. You can buy it today, distribution cost. Avatar: The Last Airbender also was printed to oblivion, so they say. What's interesting is Edge of Eternities came out at this time, but it wasn't printed to oblivion, or the demand for it was so high. Anyways, and then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What's funny is that, 3 of these sets are Universes Beyond? Universes Beyond does not perform super well on this current standard list of sets. Universes Beyond have not been some of the highest demand sets, which is fascinating. So yeah, what was that? That was 5. 5 out of the 16 of these current standard sets have boxes that are just available for stores to pick up the phone, send an email, and order, and get those available for their customers to play. And what's funny too is that if you're thinking about when I read through these sets, there's lots of beloved, incredible sets here. There's Lost Caverns of Ixalan, there's Wilds of Eldraine, there's Bloomborough, there's Foundations, there's Dragonstorm, there's Final Fantasy, there's Edge of Eternities, there's Lorwyn Eclipsed, and there's Secrets of Strixhaven. Even Secrets of Strixhaven is at the moment sold out. I mean, some distribution people, they hold on to some extras and they allocate it out slowly in waves or whatever. But for the most part, these sets are out. They are unavailable except at market prices to your local game stores. What does this mean? Well, it means a couple things. First off, the prices go up. We've seen this. We've seen this with Final Fantasy play boxes that went from $160 to $200 to $250 before they got reprinted back down to $130 or something crazy low. We're seeing this right now with Dragonstorm. Dragonstorm were $100 for the longest time, but now they're going up $110, $120, $130. We're seeing these play boxes kind of creep up. And it's like a video game or like a mini game where the enemies from each direction are getting closer and closer, and you got to push them back, and you know, it's kind of like juggling, right? You just got to keep all the balls in the air in order to succeed. And Wizards has quite a few balls in the air, right? How are they going to keep up with the demand for all of these products? Because I'll tell you what, if they print and they reprint Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and they print, whatever it is, 10,000 boxes, 100,000 boxes, 200,000 boxes, it will sell out. It'll sell out quickly. The expected value is high. There's like a $60 rare in this set, it's like, which doesn't mean, that alone doesn't mean that the expected value is high, but it is a loved product that people, if they see it at their game store on the shelves for cheap, they're going to buy it. Right? And that's true for Bloomburrow. That's true for Foundations. That's true for all of these. The only thing keeping back these things from selling out at your local game store is them raising the prices. They've got to. You have to raise the prices when demand is this high and supply is this low. Otherwise, you're just going to run out of products, and it doesn't do you any good as a business to have nothing on your shelves to sell. So, what does this mean? We haven't even talked about commander decks. Okay, so real quick, let me explain what this means, and then we'll talk about commander decks a little bit. What this means is Wizards is not printing products as quickly as people are opening them. Let me say that again. Wizards is unable to, at the moment, print products as quickly as people are opening them. We saw something similar with Pokemon. This is kind of the phenomena that's been going on for a year now, which is just that anything that gets reprinted, it just gets destroyed instantly. Gets bought, gets opened, gets collected, gets put in a closet, whatever. And we're seeing it now with Magic. Slowly, it's not as ravenous as Pokemon is right now. There's still, when things get reprinted, the prices do go back down, and they slowly rise. Edge of Eternities was 180 plus, and now it's back to 140 after the reprint. And so there's still some stability in this market. It's not just this crazy rampage like One Piece was a couple months ago. But how long is that going to last? Because if we're still waiting on reprints for Outlaws at Thunder Junction and Bloomburrow, when are we going to get a reprint for Final Fantasy? And when are we going to get a reprint for Secrets of Strixhaven, which just came out but is already, boxes are scarce, right? So that's the thing. If this keeps up, if we don't print as quickly as people buy, products only going to become more and more scarce. Prices are only going to go up, up, up. And that's the reason why. That is the thesis on why prices are just not going down. It might never go down. Because if Wizards keeps this up, I've seen so many viewers of my channel. I mean, I'm not a big channel, but just anecdotally, I know a lot of people that have gotten into the game thanks to Universes Beyond. I think Wizards is doing a good job expanding the player base. That's probably part of the reason why these sets are selling out and stores aren't able to keep products on their shelves. But if this keeps up, if Marvel Superheroes is going to bring in another big wave of interest in customers like Final Fantasy did, then what's going to happen? What's going to happen to Bloomburrow? What's going to happen to Dragonstorm? What's going to happen to Edge of Eternities? And I'm not saying this as you should speculate on these play boxes. If anything, what I think you should do is going forward, understand this reality, which is how safe it is to speculate on collector booster boxes. That's, I shouldn't be saying this. Whoops. Let me roll that back. I like to speculate on collector booster boxes because it feels like a safe bet and the market feels so hot. But you should do what's best for you. Let's talk about commander decks a little bit. If they reprinted the Wilds of Eldraine commander decks, they would sell out instantly. That is also true for Lost Caverns of Ixalan, Murders of Karlov Manor, Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Bloomburrow actually had a huge reprint, so I'm not sure if that's true for Bloomburrow, but it is true for Duskmourn. The singles value in a lot of these commander deck sets is high. I mean, we've seen this with Lord of the Rings, where Lord of the Rings got their reprint, and then boom, people jumped on that, including myself, opened those things up, sold singles. We're finally getting a slowdown. The prices have relatively stabilized, but I imagine with The Hobbit coming out later this year, that's probably going to change. Actually, a lot of the singles from Lord of the Rings commander deck sets are the cheapest they've ever been right now. If you want to go buy the Black Gate, now's the time. Anyways, so, right, let's wrap this up. Prices are high. They are. I mean, above MSRP pricing for play booster boxes like Edge of Eternities was, or Dragonstorm is probably going to be in a couple months, is pretty crazy. But this isn't the end. Wizards is still going. We still have banger sets coming out this year. We're still seeing only an increase and a strength in demand. We had the biggest pre-release maybe ever, but biggest pre-release in many, many years at least, in Secrets of Strixhaven. Magic is strong. Magic is very strong. And I fear that all of what I've talked about today suggests a future where Magic prices continue to go up, where we experience something like Pokemon, where even if things get reprinted, distribution raises the prices that they sell to stores at, which will prevent prices from going down. I see it. I think that this is what's coming. So let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you agree, disagree. Like I said, there's definitely viewers who have more in the trenches experience than I do, and your feedback is greatly appreciated. But this is what I've seen over the couple decades I've been a part of the game. A couple decades? Like 15 years. And so anyways, thanks for watching. Please subscribe.